The biggest show on Netflix just dropped news that has the entire internet losing its mind. Bridgerton Season 5 leads have finally been revealed, and trust me, this is not what most people expected. Fans have been waiting, guessing, and arguing online for months about who was going to lead this season. Some people were sure it would be Eloise. Others were betting on Francesca. But what Netflix just confirmed is so much bigger than just picking a lead. This season is about to make television history in a way that Bridgerton has never done before. And if you think you already know the full story just because you read a few headlines, you are going to want to stay right here because there is a lot more going on behind this announcement than people are talking about. Asterisk before we talk about Season 5. We need to go back to where Season 4 ended, because if you do not understand what happened there, the Season 5 announcement will not hit nearly as hard as it should. Season 4 of Bridgerton was Benedict Bridgerton's story. It followed him and Sophie, and it gave fans the romantic fairytale ending they were hoping for. Benedict finally got his happy ending, and the town was at peace, at least for a moment. But while Benedict and Sophie's love story was the main dish, something else was cooking quietly in the background. And that something else was Francesca's story. Francesca Bridgerton, played by Hannah Dad, had always been the quiet one in the family. She was never the loudest person in the room. She never chased drama or attention. She was the Bridgerton sibling who preferred peace over parties. But in Season 4, her life was turned completely upside down in the most painful way possible. Francesca was happily married to John Sterling. Their love was calm, steady, and real. It was not the loud and fiery kind of love you see in romance stories all the time. It was the kind of love that felt safe, like home. And Francesca, who had always struggled to feel like she belonged anywhere, finally felt like she had found her place in the world. Then everything fell apart. John Sterling died in his sleep. No warning. No big dramatic moment. He was just gone. And just like that, the one person who made Francesca feel whole was taken away from her. The show did not soften this moment. It let it hurt. It let Francesca grieve in a way that felt real and raw and deeply human. Fans who watched it said it was one of the most emotional moments in the entire series. But Season 4 did not leave Francesca completely alone in her grief. There was someone else in her life during that dark time. Someone who understood her pain in a way that no one else could. That person was Michaela Sterling, the cousin of her late husband John. Michaela was played by Ali Baduza. And even though her role in Season 4 was not the central storyline, the connection between Francesca and Michaela was impossible to ignore. It was quiet and slow and building underneath the surface the entire time. By the time Season 4 ended, Francesca was a widow carrying enormous grief, and Michaela was the one person she turned to. In the final moments of the season, Francesca asked Michaela to stop traveling and just stay with her. That one small moment, that simple quiet request, was the seed that Season 5 is going to grow into something extraordinary. So now you understand exactly where we are standing at the start of Season 5. We are not starting with a happy couple ready to fall in love. We are starting with a woman who has lost everything, trying to figure out who she is and what she wants next. And the person standing closest to her is someone who is about to change her life in ways she never planned for. Asterisk, nobody saw this coming. Not the fans. Not the book readers. Not even the people who had been following every single leaked detail for months. When Netflix finally made the official announcement on March 24, 2026, the internet did not just react. It exploded. Francesca Bridgerton and Michaela Sterling are the confirmed leads of Bridgerton Season 5. Hannah Dodd and Ali Baduza are stepping into the center spotlight. And they are bringing with them a love story that this show has never told before. Not even close. Now here is where it gets really interesting, because this is the part that most people are skipping over when they talk about this announcement. Michaela Sterling is not a character from the original books. At least not in the way she appears in the show. In Julia Quinn's novel, the love interest for Francesca was a man named Michael Sterling, a man. But the Bridgerton television show made one single change to that character that changed absolutely everything. They made Michael a woman and renamed her Michaela. That one decision turned season 5 into something that has never been done at this level of mainstream television before. Bridgerton, one of the biggest and most watched shows on the entire planet, is now building its central love story around two women. Not as a side plot, not as a small background detail that casual viewers might miss. As the main event, as the heart of the whole season, showrunner Jess Brownell did not shy away from talking about how significant this is. She said directly that making an entire Bridgerton season about a sapphic relationship feels huge. And she is right, because this is not a small streaming show with a limited audience. Bridgerton is a global phenomenon. It is the kind of show that people who do not even watch television regularly still know about. So putting this kind of love story at the very center of that show sends a message that goes far beyond just entertainment. And the two women leading this season are fully aware of the weight they are carrying. Hannah Dodd, who plays Francesca, spoke about how excited she is for her character to finally step into the lead role and experience being loved again after so much loss and pain. She talked about wanting Francesca to feel enough within herself, which is something the character has always struggled with quietly throughout the series. Mosali Baduza, who plays Michaela, described the connection between their characters in a way that is both simple and beautiful. She said they are like magnets, just drawn to each other no matter what stands between them. That description alone tells you everything you need to know about what kind of love story this is going to be. It is not going to be loud or rushed. It is not going to follow the typical pattern of meet, fight, kiss, and done. This is going to be slow and deep and full of feeling. That has been building since the moment these two characters first appeared on screen. Together. The official description that Netflix released for season 5 says that 2 years have passed since John's death. Francesca has made a very practical decision to re-enter the marriage market. She is not looking for love. She is not chasing a feeling. She is trying to do what makes sense for her life going forward. But then Michaela comes back to London. She returns to take care of the Kilmartin estate, the property that belonged to John. And suddenly, all of Francesca's practical plans start falling apart because her feelings will not stay quiet no matter how hard she tries to keep them that way. That tension, that push and pull between what your head is telling you to do and what your heart refuses to stop feeling, is the engine that is going to drive this entire season forward. And honestly, that is one of the most relatable things a love story can be built around. Because almost everyone has felt that exact conflict at some point in their life. Production officially started on March 24, 2026, outside of London, and the fact that filming began less than 1 month after season 4 finished airing tells you that Netflix is not wasting any time with this one. They want this season made, and they want it seen. This is not just the next chapter of Bridgerton. This is a turning point for the entire show. Asterisk here is a question that most entertainment channels are completely ignoring right now. Everyone is talking about the announcement. Everyone is reacting to the headline. But almost nobody is stopping to ask the most important question of all. Who actually are these two women, and why should you care deeply about their story before you even watch a single episode of Season 5? Because here is the truth. If you walk into this season without understanding who Francesca and Michaela really are at their core, you are going to miss half of what makes this love story so powerful. So let us slow down and actually talk about these two characters properly, because they deserve that start with Francesca. Out of all 8 Bridgerton siblings, Francesca has always been the one who felt the most invisible. Not because she was unimportant, but because she never quite fit the mold that her family and society had built around her. The Bridgerton household was full of loud personalities, people who filled rooms with their energy and their opinions and their drama. And then there was Francesca, sitting quietly in the corner, feeling like she was watching the world from behind a glass wall that she could never quite break through. Asterisk Netflix described her character in a way that is worth paying very close attention to. They called her reserved and contained, and said she had long felt out of place in the world. That description might sound simple on the surface, but it carries so much underneath it. Think about what it actually feels like to grow up in a family where everyone around you seems to know exactly who they are, and you are the only one still searching for an answer to that question. That quiet loneliness is something Francesca has been carrying her entire life, and it never fully went away even when she found love with John. John gave her safety. John gave her warmth. But even in that beautiful marriage, there was still a part of Francesca that had never been fully seen or fully understood. And when John died, that part of her did not just grieve the loss of her husband. It grieved the version of herself she thought she was finally becoming. She was not just mourning a person. She was mourning a future, a path, an identity she had started to build around someone who was suddenly no longer there. That is the Francesca who enters season 5. Not broken, but deeply unsettled. Not hopeless, but very unsure. A woman who has decided to be practical about her next steps because feeling things too deeply has already cost her more pain than she knows how to carry. And that practicality, that emotional shield she has built around herself, is exactly what Michaela is going to walk right through without even trying. Now talk about Michaela. Because she is just as layered and just as fascinating as Francesca, but in completely opposite ways. Where Francesca is still and quiet and contained, Michaela is movement and energy and brightness. She travels constantly. She fills every room she enters. She is the kind of person who seems completely at ease in the world. Like life is just one long adventure she is thoroughly enjoying. But Netflix pulled back the curtain on something that changes how you see Michaela completely. Underneath all that charm and all that energy and all that effortless confidence is a woman who runs. The moment things get uncomfortable, the moment feelings start getting too real and too heavy, Michaela's first instinct is to leave. To move on to the next city, the next experience, the next version of herself that does not have to sit with difficult emotions. That pattern of running is not random. It is a defense. It is the wall that Michaela has built around her own vulnerability, and it has worked perfectly for her until now. Until she comes back to London. Until she has to face the grief of losing John, who was her cousin, her family, her connection to something real and rooted. And until she has to face Francesca, who is the one person she cannot simply walk away from no matter how loud that instinct to run gets inside her. That is the collision this season is built around. A woman who has stopped letting herself feel too much, and a woman who has never learned how to stay when things get hard. Two people who are completely wrong for each other on paper, and completely inevitable in every other way. Showrunner Jess Brownell described this season as being full of yearning. And when you understand who these two characters truly are, you understand exactly what she means by that word. This is not going to be a love story about two people who simply fall for each other. This is going to be a love story about two people who fight everything inside themselves just to be able to admit what they already feel. And that, more than any costume or any ballroom scene or any Lady Whistledown narration, is what is going to make season 5 of Bridgerton something genuinely unforgettable. Asterisk, let us talk about something that nobody in the entertainment world seems to be giving enough attention to right now. Because beyond the romance and beyond the characters and beyond all the beautiful costumes and candlelit ballrooms, there is something happening with Bridgerton season 5 that is genuinely bigger than the show itself. Something that stretches far beyond Netflix and far beyond the world of period dramas. And if you have been watching this series since the very beginning, you need to understand the full size of what is being built here. Bridgerton is not a small show. It is not a niche drama with a loyal, but limited audience. This is one of the most watched television series in the entire history of streaming. It has broken Netflix records. It has dominated global conversation every single time a new season has dropped. It has turned its lead actors into overnight household names and made Regency-era fashion trend on social media platforms that did not even exist when these books were first written. That is the size of the stage we are talking about. And on that stage, Netflix just placed a love story between two women at the absolute center. Think about what that actually means. Not just for Bridgerton fans, but for anyone who has ever turned on a television and hoped to see a version of love that looked a little more like their own. Jess Brownell said clearly and without any hesitation that this is going to be a season about queer joy. She did not say it quietly. She did not soften it or wrap it in careful language. She said it is not going to be a season about queer trauma. It is going to be about joy. About two people finding each other and choosing each other in a world that is built around very specific ideas about what love is supposed to look like. That creative decision alone puts season 5 in a category that very few mainstream shows have ever entered. And none have entered at quite this scale. Now, on top of all of that, the production side of this season is moving faster than anyone expected. Filming officially began on March 24, 2026. Outside of London at the Shepperton Studios backlot that was built specifically for Bridgerton during season 4. That permanent backlot was one of the biggest investments the show has made in its own future. And it is already paying off. The fact that season 5 started filming less than 1 month after season 4 finished airing is not something that happens by accident. That kind of speed requires serious planning, serious commitment, and a team that knows exactly what story they want to tell and exactly how they want to tell it. Shonda Rhimes herself has already teased that season 5 is going to be a really sexy season. Now, before you file that away as typical promotional talk, remember that Shonda Rhimes said the same thing about season 4 and then immediately clarified that each season is sexy in a completely different way. What that tells you is that the creative team is very aware that every Bridgerton love story has its own specific flavor, its own specific energy, and they are not trying to copy what came before. They are building something new every single time. And with Francesca and Michaela leading the way, new is genuinely the right word for what season 5 is going to be. The costumes are already being talked about behind the scenes. Both Hannah Dodd and Marceli Baduza have spoken about their costume fittings and how much storytelling is being packed into the way their characters dress. Michaela in particular is apparently going to be seen in a completely different light through her wardrobe choices this season, which is a detail that might sound small but actually tells you a great deal about how the creative team is approaching her character arc. In Bridgerton, costumes have never just been decoration. They have always been communication. They tell you who a character is, what they want, and where they are going before a single word of dialogue is spoken. So the fact that both leads are already talking about their costumes with this level of excitement means the visual storytelling in season 5 is going to be something to watch very closely. Music is also being built into the foundation of this season earlier than usual. Jess Brownell revealed that even before cameras started rolling, she was already thinking about how the soundtrack could reflect the emotional themes of Francesca and Michaela's journey. Bridgerton has always used music in a clever way, taking modern songs and reimagining them as classical orchestral pieces that feel period appropriate but carry a very contemporary emotional weight. If the music is being designed from the ground up to match the specific yearning and joy of this particular love story, then every scene is going to land harder than it would have otherwise. As for what comes after season 5, Netflix has already confirmed that season 6 is happening and that it will be Eloise Bridgerton's story, played by Claudia Jessie. Eloise has been one of the most beloved characters in the entire series from the very beginning, and fans who have been waiting for her moment in the spotlight are going to have a lot to look forward to. But that is a conversation for another day. Right now, all roads lead to Francesca. All roads lead to Michaela. All roads lead to a love story that this show, and honestly this entire genre, has been building toward without most people even realizing it. So here is where we land after everything we have covered today. Bridgerton Season 5 is not just the next installment of a popular romantic drama. It is a genuinely historic moment for mainstream television. It has two incredibly talented lead actresses who clearly believe in this story with everything they have. It has a creative team that is moving with real urgency and real passion. It has a love story at its center that is going to challenge both characters in ways that go far deeper than a typical will they or will they not romance. And it has the full weight of one of the biggest platforms in the world behind it, ready to bring that story to every corner of the globe. Francesca spent years feeling invisible. Michaela spent years running from anything that made her feel too much. And somehow, in the middle of grief and loss and a world full of rules about who you are supposed to be, these two women are going to find each other. Really find each other. And if Jess Brunel's promise holds true, they are going to do it with joy. That is the season that is coming. And honestly, the wait is going to be worth every single second of it.